Hello guys, and welcome to this installation video where we're going to be looking at installing PyCharm to develop our Python applications in. So PyCharm is a completely cross-platform IDE, meaning that we can use it for Windows, Mac and Linux machines. So if you've got anything other than a Windows machine, or you don't like Visual Studio, or for whatever reason, PyCharm is a very good alternative, and it's the one that I pretty much use on a daily basis. So I'm going to start off in my Windows 10 Windows 10 virtual machine. As you can see, it's the same virtual machine where I installed Visual Studio. However, I have uninstalled. The VS installer is still installed, but Visual Studio itself isn't installed. And we can see, if I just load up Visual Studio Installer, you'll see that all of my versions are uninstalled. So this is a completely fresh Windows 10 as such, and even Python sends me to the Microsoft Store. So firstly, what we're going to do is you want to open up a browser, and I'm going to go to JetBrains. And okay, nice one. Okay, so JetBrains is a big it's a big suite of IDEs. They create loads and loads of different ones, of all different languages, from C#, Python, C++, Swift, Go. There's so many, and they are really good IDEs. I don't know where I am. There we go. So yeah, you may be tempted to go to where are we? There we go. You may be tempted to go to PyCharm here, which will download just PyCharm. But what I tend to do, and what I quite like about this, is this Toolbox app. Because the Toolbox app, if we download it, it's a fairly small download, so it shouldn't take too long. And there we go, it's done. So yeah, the Toolbox app is really good because it provides multiple links to all the different JetBrains products that they have, all the professional versions, the community versions, everything. And we'll see it as soon as we install it, so just install. Yeah, it provides links to all of them, and it does the installation automatically, the updating automatically, everything is completely automated, which is great. I love this little toolbox. So it's downloaded here, and we're just going to click accept. I'll just point out now that if you're on a Linux machine, you can download the toolbox as well. In fact, what I'll do is I'll have both my Ubuntu machine and my Windows 10 machine kind of side by side-ish. That's a different video. Let's open a new window. Okay, and let's go for JetBrains. That'll do. So it's exactly the same app that you want to download, except I think this is, it's a tar file instead. If you're on Ubuntu specifically, the package manager should be able to do it automatically for you, or the Ubuntu software package manager, not apt or anything. Download that, and it should work like every other installation for Ubuntu. Screen comes up, you press install. That's pretty much it, I think. Righty, so this is the one that we're going to install, PyCharm Community. We're going to press install. PyCharm Professional, you can install it if, it costs quite a bit of money, but students get it for free, so if you're a student, go for PyCharm Professional, but the community version, is perfectly okay for us. And as you can see, it's installing now. Now, the only downside with PyCharm is, unlike Visual Studio, it doesn't provide Python automatically. So what we need to do is go to Python, the Python website, python.org, and we'll see that Python 3.8.5 is the most recent one. So we're going to click on that and download for Windows, obviously. Run. I'm going to leave that to install. Well, it's pretty much done. There we go. Oops, no, I don't want to do that. There we go. So, I think we can add Python 3.8 to path. That means that we won't have to change any of the environment variables if you saw in the previous video, the Visual Studio installation. So we want to add that. What is the custom thing? Does it include... Oh, it does that automatically. Just go for install now then. Yes. And that's installing. So what I'm going to do is bring up my Ubuntu Terminal. So if you're on a Linux machine, you'll probably see that if we type in Python, it's going to go to Python 2.7, and that's because Ubuntu 18.04 still has Python 2.7 installed. I think if you go to Ubuntu 20, it only has Python 3 installed. The reason, if you're just interested, is a lot of the actual OS stuff uses Python, so that's why Python is automatically installed on any Ubuntu or Linux machine in general. You'll also see that if you want to go for Python 3 though, then you actually have to explicitly say Python 3, and you'll see that I've got Python 3.6 installed. Now, one thing that you'll find when you start developing in Python is there are certain packages that only accept certain Python versions. So I think, for example, TensorFlow, whatever version 2 something, I can't remember. I'm pretty certain that doesn't accept Python 3.8. It only accepts everything from 3.5 to 3.7. So one thing you're going to have to just get your head around is that you may need multiple Python interpreters installed. That's okay, you know, there's no issue with that, but it's something that you're going to have to consider. But no worries, if you're wanting to do it on a Linux machine, let's say we want to install Python 3.8, so essentially the exact same installation here, then we'll do sudo apt get install Python 3.8. What was the exact version here? It was 3.8 point something, 3.8.5. So if we go to the terminal, 3.8.5. Password. Couldn't find 3.8.5. Let's just try 3.8 then. There we go. So now we're going to click yes. That's now installing Python 3.8 on Ubuntu, and I think it's done. So Python. Again, if you type in Python 3, it's going to go to Python 3.6. If I put in though Python 3.8 and explicitly say we're now looking at Python 3.8. So if you want to change this, so Python 3 goes to Python 3.8. This is getting into a bit of a Linux 101 as well, but hey ho. If you want to change something like that, you'll probably need to go into the bash RC. So you'll need to do something like nano bash. I've done that one. There we go. So I think somewhere in here you'll find Python 3, and you can explicitly say that if it's Python 3, you're going to go directly to Python 3.8 rather than Python 3.6. You can put an alias or something. So as you can see here, for example, you've got an alias, and CW in this case uses this command. So in this case it's catkim. So what you can do is you can type an alias which will go to your explicit Python 3.8 version. But I'm not going to do that because there's no need, because PyCharm can do all of this for us, so you don't need to worry. Back to Windows 10, we're going to disable the path length. Yes. and setup was successful, good stuff. So now if we type in Python, it's going to go there, why not? Fine. CD, not do it. There we go. So typing in Python 3.8.5, which is the version we've just installed. So good stuff. Going to close that. And PyCharm community has been installed, so we're going to open this. Just click continue for it all. Right, okay, so you're probably not going to see this because I've previously installed it and it's possibly saved a few config files. So what's actually going to happen, I think if we can actually see, can we clear the config or something? Configuration template. Is this it? No, it's not. Oh, this is annoying. There we go. This is what you're going to get. So pick your theme. I like the dark theme. Next. You can install a plugin if you want. You don't need to. Start using PyCharm. Then new project. So this might work. We'll see. Create. Close. And once it's created its virtual environment, we'll just make sure that it, Python is actually working on this. Usually, if you install a virtual machine, it's done that. No worries. If you install a virtual machine, or rather, if PyCharm creates a virtual environment for you, it usually might take a few minutes or two, because it's installing essentially what brand new packages that you can use for that specific environment. So it will install things like pip and setup tools and stuff. We'll get into pip and things like that later down the line. It's just if it takes a little while, don't worry, it's because it's installing stuff in the background. If you want it to be as quickly as you can, though, just don't install a virtual environment. So yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go new project again. I'm going to get rid of this create a main.py welcome script because I don't want one. I want all of this. Actually, what I can do is go to, can I go existing interpreter? Okay, so if you don't want a new, virtual environment, what you can do, go to here, so go to the system interpreter, okay, create, and now it's an awful lot faster. So what we can do, press new Python file, I'm just going to call it main, like so, and then we need to go to add configuration, press the plus button, go to Python, and then we need to tell PyCharm where our script actually is. So I'm going to say that it's main.py, okay, apply, okay, and now we can just check that this is working, print hello, will run. There we go. So Python is now installed on PyCharm, which is great news. Now we can start programming some cool stuff. Additionally, if you're a Windows user now, you can probably stop the video. So, you know, have fun playing with Python and see you in the next video. If you're on a Linux machine, however, there's just probably one or two more bits and pieces that I want to go through very quickly. So what I'm going to do is open my version of PyCharm. Where it's going to open. Oh, I have completely lost the video. Let's put it back there. Hopefully that's fine. I'm going to close that. Close project. Okie dokie. So we're going to go to new project, and as you can see the base interpreter is still at 3.6. Now luckily PyCharm has found 3.8 for us, but if it doesn't, then what you do is go to the three little dot things and go down to user, USR, go to bin or binary, and scroll down to Python 3.8. So these are all the Python interpreters that are installed on this machine. So Python 2.7, Python 3.6 and Python 3.8. So yeah, but we can go for Python 3.8, create, it's creating our virtual environment for us, and then new Python file. I didn't spell main right, but hey ho. Add config. So you'll see that the setup is pretty much the same if you're on a Windows 10 machine or a Linux machine, which I quite like about this. We're going to go to here, OK, apply, OK, and then print. And that didn't go. Oh, add OK. Run, and there we go. So there we go. So that's now PyCharm and Python 3.8 installed on a Linux machine. So we're pretty much all ready now to start some development work. So I'll see you all in the next video.